Here we go as we start a new week with day 963 of the Trump administration. A number of stories to catch you up on, some of them on the move still tonight. The president spent his evening at a rally in North Carolina. More on the special election coming up there in just a moment. It's Monday, and yet this has the makings of yet another chaotic week. Over the weekend, the president uninvited the Taliban from Camp David via Twitter. He apparently wanted a meeting with the president of Afghanistan that would bring peace to Afghanistan. The president let us know about his decision late Saturday night on social media when he revealed that all parties, quote, were going to secretly meet with me at Camp David on Sunday, but after an attack in Kabul that killed one of our great soldiers and 11 other people, I immediately canceled the meeting and called off peace negotiations. Today, Trump appeared to rule out any future peace talks.
They're dead. They're dead. As far as I'm concerned, they're dead. They thought that they had to kill people in order to put themselves in a little better negotiating position. When they did that, they killed 12 people. One happened to be a great American soldier, a wonderful young man from Puerto Rico, families from Puerto Rico. And you can't do that. You can't do that with me. So they're dead as far as I'm concerned. And we've hit the Taliban harder in the last 4 days than they've been hit in over 10 years. So that's the way it is.
Tonight, we also learned North Korea has fired off 2 more projectiles. Earlier today, the Associated Press reported Pyongyang, quote, offered to resume nuclear diplomacy with the United States, but warned its dealings with Washington may end without new U.S. proposals. And there is more. New reporting about an apparent arrangement to send U.S. military flight crews to overnight at Trump's golf resort in Turnberry, Scotland. The New York Times reports, quote, back in 2014, Trump entered a partnership with a struggling local airport there to increase air traffic and boost tourism in the region. The next year, as Mr. Trump began running for president, the Pentagon decided to ramp up its use of that same airport to refuel Air Force flights and give the local airport authority the job of helping to find accommodations for flight crews who had to remain overnight. One Trump post from 2014, in fact, quotes a Scottish TV network saying that Donald Trump pledges to make Prestwick Airport really successful. But this morning, Trump tried to tamp down any of these growing questions on this, writing, quote, I know nothing about an Air Force plane landing at an airport, which I do not own and have nothing to do with, near Turnberry Resort, which I do own, and filling up with fuel, with the crew staying overnight at Turnberry. Nothing to do with me. He followed that with, I had nothing to do with the decision of our great Vice President Mike Pence to stay overnight at one of the Trump-owned resorts in Doonbeg, Ireland. Still later, there was this.
I haven't found out, other than when a plane stops at a massive international airport and gets fuel, I don't own the airport. When pilots stay, I own a lot of different places. Soon you'll find that out. Because I'll be at some point prior to the election, I'm going to be giving out a financial report of me, and it'll be extremely complete. I'm going to give out my financial condition, and you'll be extremely shocked that the numbers are many, many times what you think. I don't need to have somebody take a room overnight at a hotel.
Tonight, Politico is reporting Air Force crews have stayed overnight at the resort at least 4 times, 2 more than previously reported. Now, Congress, as you might imagine, and the Air Force are investigating. A lot of defense types and analysts have argued, including on this broadcast, by way of reminding us we have air bases all over the world for just this sort of thing. There are also new developments tonight concerning the president's false claim that Alabama was in the path of Hurricane Dorian. It's now grown into a full-scale controversy for the White House, lasting longer than the storm itself. Late Friday, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration contradicted its own scientists days after the National Weather Service, a part of NOAA, in Birmingham, issued a correction saying Alabama will not see any impacts from Dorian in direct response to erroneous warning from the president. Well, tonight, the New York Times reports Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross threatened to fire top employees at NOAA on Friday after the agency's Birmingham office contradicted Trump's claim. The Times puts it this way. That threat led to an unusual unsigned statement later that Friday by the agency disavowing the National Weather Service's position that Alabama was not at risk. The reversal caused widespread anger within the agency and drew accusations from the scientific community that the National Weather Service, which is part of NOAA, which is all part of the Commerce Department, had been bent to political purposes. NOAA's statement on Friday is now being examined by the Commerce Department's Office of Inspector General. Late today, a Commerce Department spokesperson told NBC News, and we quote, "The New York Times story is false. Secretary Ross did not threaten to fire any NOAA staff over forecasting and public statements about Hurricane Dorian." Meanwhile, the Washington Post also reporting that NOAA's chief scientist will investigate why the agency backed the president over its own storm experts on Dorian. And all that brings us to what may be an even more alarming development tonight. We told you it was a busy evening. The New York Times confirming that a CIA informant of ours who had sent secrets back to America for decades was abruptly pulled out of Russia. The paper writes, the Moscow informant was instrumental to the CIA's most explosive conclusion about Russia's interference campaign that President Vladimir Putin ordered and orchestrated it himself. As the American government's best insight into the thinking of and orders from Mr. Putin, the source was also key to the CIA's assessment that he affirmatively favored Donald J. Trump's election and personally ordered the hacking of the Democratic National Committee. The informant, according to people familiar with the matter, was outside of Mr. Putin's inner circle, but saw him regularly and had access to high-level Kremlin decision-making, easily making the source one of the agency's most valuable assets.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.